What a Wild Spirit Brings by Lil, Chapter 35. When she arose from her slumber, no one complained about her sleeping in. Mina set a bowl with goat milk in crispy grain circles, like noodle ones from the stew the night before in it, except these grain ones were more like the cone in Tick's wonderful dessert, tinted with honey. Lil had only ever had soups, eggs, and porridge for breakfast before. Mina's cereal was new and fun. After she ate, she tried to help darn yarn in blue dye with Elise and Mina, but Mina again sent her away, saying she was still fresh from travel and didn't need to work. Lil was annoyed by that. Tick was taking her turn playing with Ashen. She was dangling a string with long colored feathers on the end over him, and he was reaching for it. "You be wanting to play with him?" Tick asked, offering the toy to Lil. Lil turned and stomped out of the building. Why did he have to look just like Ty's? Why did he have to be so happy and have so many who loved him? Did he really need her? What in the light was she doing here? Outside the sun was shining, and there was a little patch of snow here and there under an eave or two, whose shadow was still untouched by the sun. Children were playing a game with an air-filled ball, and a few women were watching while doing laundry. Chimney smoke fragranced the air, and only a few elderly men were around chopping wood or cutting meat. Mr. Snurd's cart and huge draft horse were gone, and all the goats and sheep were too. Lil watched the children play for a little while, figuring out that the object was for each team to make a goal in the other's end of the field. It was really just a large open area framed on three sides by cliffs that fell down far, far below into huge crags and mountain terrain. There was a short rail along the sides, but Lil still felt she would never let children play somewhere so dangerous. She finally started walking up the mountainside. She found some bushes that were still green, and the stunted trees were all covered in needles instead of leaves. She rounded a bend and found a sloped pasture where sheep and goats were grazing in little herds guarded by young men and those shaggy dogs. She asked one of the youths, who was blowing on some pipes, where the older men were. His reply was that the old men stayed in the village. She sighed and asked where the middle-aged men were, which was what she had meant. "Oi, why didn't you say so? Dey be up higher hunting and such. Dey come down later in the evening." Lil frowned. She could wait around for them, bored and insecure, or go up after them, or she could keep her promise to Trixian. She sighed and chose honor. Once back inside the hut, Tick and Elise were napping with Ashen. They were all so cute sleeping together in the bed, tucked in and soft-looking. He looked comfortable between them. Mina was kneading dough in the main room. "I am going back to visit a friend. I have to because I promised, but if you'd like, I will come back if I can. Last time I crossed the cell, well, the townsfolk kind of turned into a mob. I don't really know how they're going to take seeing me again." "Light, you can't go alone, dear girl. Wait until tomorrow and Tamrock will go with you. He'll keep you safe." "I am a grown woman." Mina looked unsure of what to say. "You seem to think I'm a child who can't do anything for herself and needs a mother to look after her. But I am old enough to marry in Caldorcan, old enough to see the power among the Heldani, old enough to dine without a nurse in the royal palace in Andari, and old enough to be a wild one among the Entha. I can clean my own dishes and help with chores and travel without a guard." Mina looked hurt. Lil didn't understand what Tamrock saw in her. She was so weak and sensitive. She started kneading the dough again for a few minutes, and then looked up, tears in her eyes. "I know you are older. I know, but I feel like you didn't get to be a child. I don't know why, I just do. If you wanted to be, well, I wouldn't mind. You could act like a toddler for all I care if it would make you happy. You aren't happy, are you? That's all I want." Lil was shocked. "Look, if you want to help out, then that's fine. You tell me what you want, and that'll be how it be. Whatever you say. I just want you to be happy." I do. I want to be needed. And even besides that, to help is my way of saying thank you for letting me be here. But first I need to go see Munchin. I have a duty to him." "Please take Tamrock at least to the ferry." "All right." Mina smiled. "Thank you. You'll be glad you did. You'll see." "He's a good man. I can honestly say he's the first man I ever met that I fully could say that about." "He is, isn't he?" Mina said, like she already was agreeing. The answer was yes. "And you named my brother well." Mina looked dumbfounded again, while Lil turned and left to find Tamrock. "Light, I'm getting soft," Lil mumbled to herself. She went back up to the pasture and found Tamrock climbing down with a rabbit in each hand. Well, what she thought were rabbits anyway, except they had short ears. He looked happy to see her. "Tamrock, I need to go back across the cell for a little while. Well, hopefully for a little while. I plan on coming back, I really do. I just I have a duty I must see to. I had trouble crossing before, being Entha. Mina suggested you take me that far. He smiled a full, wide, proud smile at her. I'll be glad to. Thank you, Tamrock. So, you ever plan on telling me your name? Oh, well, Lil. Lil, short and sweet. Yeah, I guess. No, that's what Lil means, short and sweet. My sister had a cat named Lil when she was younger. She loved that thing more than anyone should love an animal, he said, laughing. I didn't know that's what it meant. Light, I'm not that short, am I? Nah, not that, he said, playfully jabbing her. She jabbed back, and he almost tossed her one of the little bunny creatures. She feigned defeat before she had a smelly dead thing in her arms, and he laughed again, a deep, bellowing laugh. She laughed, too, the first time she had in a long time outside the wilder. The first time since Munchin. When do you want to leave? Soon. Tomorrow? I don't know. It's my duty, but We will leave whenever you like. There's no rush except in battle, and there's never battle here, even in men's own hearts. You'll see. The way will reveal itself. Lil nodded, and they walked down, saying nothing. Once inside, Mina looked overjoyed. She ran forward and threw her arms around Lil's neck, even when she stepped back to avoid the woman. Tamrock lifted a brow in question and amusement before his wife let go and hugged him in the same manner, except with kissing. Lil smiled for a second, then a flash of demean made her turn away. Would she ever escape that memory? No battle in her heart. Was that even possible? I caught some conies and called it good. The dough from yesterday will last us till tomorrow, and I couldn't help but want to be home with all these loved ones here. He looked right at her when he said that last part. Lil looked away, embarrassed at his acceptance. If he knew more. No, the man already knew too much and still cared. Light, she was confused. I'm glad to see you, darling, and you're right about the meat. It'll be plenty. Oh, Tam, darling, did you know that I named Ashen well? He grinned, broad and happy. Lil blushed. He laughed again. You told her, eh, Lil? Now you'll never be able to get on her bad side. Not that Mina really has one. Just saying. You're stuck with her, girl. Lil, what a sweet name. Lil, will you help me clear all this flour off the table so we can make luncheon? Yes, Mina. The woman was beaming and hummed as she plopped her mixed dough into a bowl and covered it. Lil grabbed a scraper and a dish to scrape the flour off of the table. Tamrock went outside to clean the conies, and Tick came out of their room grumbling about noisy grandchildren. Lil laughed at the sour woman. She couldn't help it. Tick wasn't really mad, and Lil felt at home for the first time in a long time. Elise came out carrying Ashen and muttering herself about the resting of old bones. Ashen was crying something fierce. Tick growled about his needing changing anyway, and set about to finding a cleaning cloth to wrap for him. Lil had never seen a baby change before, and despite the smell, it was funny to watch two old women trying to complete the task at the same time, fighting over who was doing it right. How silly they were.